Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good whatever, wherever the hell you may be. Welcome back to Chalice and the Initiative Order and to all of the wonderful cast here in various places on the screen. I don't know why, where, I don't look at the stream. I like to hide in my little bubble. So, we're here once again. For whatever reason, these people keep coming back. You know, we all make bad decisions. I woke up. That was a bad decision. So, before we jump on in, say hello to the actual characters, let's say hello to the cast. So, we'll run around the screen and start in the most awkward way I physically can by saying, hey, Holly, who are you?
Oh, I don't like you anymore.
Anymore?
Hi, I'm... Oh, yeah. True, yeah, okay, misworded that. Never liked you. Anyway, hi, yeah. So, hi, my name's Holly. I play Violet. There's nothing really I can say at the moment about what Violet's thinking. It's probably the same as me, as, no thank you, I don't want to be here anymore, but I think I'm being held at gunpoint, honestly, so I have to be here. But yeah.
That's fair. As we're talking about people holding other people at gunpoint, hey Max.
Hi, I'm Max. I play Jules. I play Jules, which is a very I don't even know how to describe her other than like the hero that everyone needs.
So modest.
Whoa. Always.
But yeah, maybe I'm just trying to play the hero that I could never be.
Oh, isn't that tragic?
Maybe this is going too deep. I don't know. Maybe it's just a character that I thought was quite funny. You don't know.
Enjoying.
But yeah, I'm playing Jules.
I'm enjoying that this may be a deep psychological dive into who Max is and who Max wants to be.
My inner soul is Jules.
Fair. Okay, who can we pick? I'm just going to flip a card and not really care because it's Billy.
Hey, hello. I am Billy. As stated, I am playing Subil. He didn't have the best of times last session, so I always hope for a best session, but that never really. I've kind of learnt my lesson from that. So we'll see what happens. Yay.
Hope is the opiate of fools, Billy.
And it tastes so good.
And the last, but by no means least, DJ.
Hi everyone, my name's CJ. You can find me pretty much everywhere on CJ Story. My pronouns are they, them. I'm playing Kylan, whose pronouns are also they, them. And I think at this exact point, they're somewhere along the lines of, yeah, this might as well happen.
Fair. And, of course, definitely last and least, there is me. I'm Ben. I am here running the game, being everyone else these people have to talk to. It's not choose to, it's have to. I make it happen. I have to yell at them. If I didn't, I'd have to find my validation somewhere else. And that just sounds like a lot of introspection. And as always, I am this week's ethereal entertainer, endlessly seeking to eradicate all forms of enjoyment. And on that point, let's go over to our credits, say hello, and our intro, and all that other stuff. Please, get us out of here. I'm talking too much. Danny, what are you doing? I can
in the chat once you.
Danny made me feel awkward, so now I'm going to make him feel awkward.
I think we're just making everyone else feel awkward.
Good. I exist in that state. Hello again. Thank you for sitting through the intro and bearing with us. Right. We find ourselves once again back to play the game. Or for everyone, enjoy the game. Not these guys. They don't get to enjoy the game. Now, first and foremost, before anything else, we of course go through our normal steps of asking someone to give us a lovely recount of what happened last session. There is a time. I will be starting it at a random point within my next couple of sentences, and by the time I finish, I do expect someone, I don't care who, to pick up that particular gauntlet and tell us all what happened last week. And they'll get an extra card for it, and I'm starting it now.
Ah! We went onto the boat. At the beginning, we talked to Juliana, and we talked to, what's his name? I have his name in here somewhere. And we were like, what the heck is happening? And she's like, this man is really wanted because he blew up a town. And we were like, did he really blow up a town there? I mean, like, you know how the Inquisitors are. Did he really blow up a town? And then she was like, fine, but if he puts one foot out of line, I'm gonna kill him, was pretty much the vibe I got anyway. And then she left. And then we all played some card games. We played some card games, and we mostly all just won at the card game, except for Violet. And so that happened, and then I ended up with Jules in I being Kylan, in a storage area, and we got fucked.
Good save.
Right to the end.
I mean, in really simple terms, we did get fucked.
Yeah,
I mean, yes,
wrong.
In the terms of simplistic, yes, I'll give you that one.
Not counting this toward whether or not you decide to give me a card. We ended up taking the creepy bag to the incinerator, and we destroyed it, and it was a very upsetting time for all.
And we told Subil to go have a moment with Juliana because he's wrong in the head and he needs help. Basically, can I tell you my notes that I'm looking through now at the moment?
No.
These are the best notes ever. I think it's a case file on Jacob Morhen.
Okay.
So, Jacob Morhen, Lakeview College, Sparrow Hall, Robert Cool, born on Montego Island, son of a priest, dead mum.
Dead mum. So I realised not even halfway through that I was trying to read the wrong notebook, and that's why I didn't have any of my notes on me. So that was just.
I just don't remember much of last session, honestly, so, for obvious reasons.
Well, I feel for the sheer fact that Max has just made me essentially pass absent through my nose, so thanks for that. I'm tempted to take a card away from you.
No,
but I'll give
good
you
thing.
one.
Achievement
And
then.
you can also have one
Oh.
Yeah!
for managing to reach through the screen and actually injure me.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Just getting our own back a little bit.
That's
Usually
fair.
you're the one causing pain, I mean.
Well, on that note, let's jump back in. We find ourselves once again aboard the Icarus. The night has begun to fall. Stars glimmer in the sky above, lost behind wispy clouds. Some of them being slowly categorized by Jacob Morhen as he stands near the side of the ship, cradling Sam in his left arm. At the prow, Juliana, ex-Inquisitor of the Church of the Martyr, looks on, resting ambitiously at the edge, her hand never moving far from the handle of her pistol. She's been stood there for about half an hour, the silence and cold of the night rushing over her as she tries her best to not give in to previous training, not draw a pistol, not put a round directly through Morton's skull, and not burn the remains before it has the chance to do anything untowards. She represses those urges in the same way she's trying to stop herself from ruthlessly profiling both him and Erna, and to a degree, the third member of the crew, Kylan. There is something boiling in her. She's not sure what to call it anymore. Distrust, despair, disillusionment. She's just simply pulling the word dis around in her mouth again and again as she thinks of their destination. And as she stands there, the door to the lower decks cracks open, swings into the open air, and both Jules and Subil step out. The door swing and close behind them a moment later, as she notes Jules standing not so much behind Subil, but almost pushing him ahead of her, as if reluctant to let him disappear from her view. Her hand moves from the pistol and rests on her hip, watching the two with concern. And it's that face that both Subil and Jules see as you break into the cool air, glance around, smell the grass from the nearby riverbanks as you move through open countryside, taste the fumes of the ship's steam engine, and just take a moment outside of the cramped confines of the place below and of the previous few hours. Apart from Juliana, you don't believe you've been really spotted yet. Maybe Erna's noticed you. You can feel her presence somewhere behind you, navigating. But for a moment, there's just you. Especially for yourself, Subil, there is a second, but only a passing, fleeting instance of peaceful silence. What do you do?
I think Sebel's going to start walking towards Juliana slowly, obviously, being pushed by Jules behind.
Yeah, about halfway, I'll stop walking, but because you've got the gist of walking to her, so that you guys can have some space, and I will stargaze, but also kind of watch them as well. I won't eavesdrop at all, because they have a weird bond. I don't really get it. So I'll just leave them to it, but I'll just make sure that she's safe. As much as she is a badass, Subil has done some crazy stuff, so I just want to make sure that she's safe.
You, as the two of you start walking across the boat, you give Subil his space and just come to lean against a barrel, with one eye cautiously just watching his approach, and then haphazardly or carelessly almost just gazing over to both Moorhead and Sam. You can hear Moorhead describing a single set of constellations that move ahead as you travel. Something called the Martyr's Embrace. A selection of stars that just forms what appears to be a large arch wrapping around a singular, small but much brighter star. Subil, your footsteps are heavy. Not as if the ship can't hold them, but as if it's difficult for you to actually lift your legs and move forwards. It's almost like wading through tar each step. Thankfully, as you start to walk towards her, Juliana breaks off from the edge of the ship and walks towards you, moving much swifter. What's wrong?
Quite a lot, actually. Let's just go over here for a minute. I'm just going to pull her aside, back over to the side, just out of, sort of, not out of view, but out of earshot, just to have some privacy.
She very easily lets you kind of direct her across. You place a hand on the shoulder and just push her.
Well,
I'll
hover hands it, you know. Just kind of hover hands. But I'll kind of, you know, usher her over to the side and kind of lean on the railings. You know, he's kind of, Sybil's definitely trying to kind of self-soothe, and he's nervous. He's stressed at the moment. He kind of goes, Juliana, I know that you've seen a lot of crazy shit, but
yes,
I think that crazy shit might be happening kind of directly to me now. And I don't really know how to
describe what's happening to you, she says. She leans on the same railing as you, right next to you. You can feel the warmth radiating off of her as she just watches the water ahead. She doesn't hold eye contact with you. She's matching the way you're looking.
Well, honestly, I black out for a lot of it, but I wake up and there's blood or stuff around, or there's things that I don't remember doing, or there's things that I don't remember having, and I'm starting to do and say things that I don't know where it comes from. I'm a little bit scared that I can't.
How long has this been happening for, Subil?
I don't know, weeks, a month maybe. I don't really have a sense of time anymore.
Before Southside?
Yeah, I think so. I don't really know where it started.
Before the blackouts, do you feel any different? Does anything change?
It always gets cold. It's definitely channeling related, but I'm not a channeler. I'm just I was just a courier. I don't know what the hell has happened or how it has happened, but I think I'm dangerous to the people that I actually care about, so I just don't want it to.
She reaches out and just places a hand on your shoulder, very softly, very carefully. People you care about are better if you're here than if you were not.
But what if I am actually dangerous? Like, what if I don't know what I can do, and I don't know what harm I can cause, and I don't know who I'm gonna hurt if I do? I can't carry on.
Sybil, I have been an Inquisitor my entire life. My parents were lost in the war. I was raised in church, learned how to help and guide channels. Despite the thoughts around us, we are trained to help. What you're describing sounds like the onset of any young channeler. She takes her right hand and just reaches into her bag, pulls out a small crystal, one you immediately recognize as the same that any channeler, any Inquisitor would use to help detect channelers. Already there is a soft glow to it, very loose violet light. that dimly glows in its center. She stands and just twists and offers it to you. It doesn't grow any brighter in closeness to you. Please hold this.
Sybil's going to hesitantly take it.
You touch it, and immediately on contact, there's a warmth to it. But it's not a radiant warmth. It doesn't kind of spread out across the palm of your hand. It's only at the point of contact. Where it touches your finger and your thumb, initially you feel warmth to it. The longer you hold it, it burns, it increases into a slight burning sensation. Not enough to hurt, but enough to offer the fret of pain.
I'm going to put it back in her hand.
As you go to pass it back, you realize something shifted in it. And it's only once it ends up back in her hand that you see what fully happened. The light inside the crystal is gone. Instead, exactly where originally you saw a very soft violet ball, as if glowing from no particular point of origin, there is only a singular black crack.
Is that meant to happen?
I've not seen it happen. She closes her hand on it, places it back in her bag. That is not to say that it isn't meant to happen. Very few things in the world are meant to happen. Silly.
But I mean, like, as an Inquisitor, how many times have you done this test? If you've never seen it happen, and you've done it a million
27.
times. Okay.
I performed this test 27 times, and this is the first time I've ever seen that happen. If it weren't for previous situations, I would recommend we take you to a church. I would recommend we put you through a series of tests. However, she just kind of glances across the ship. Due to everything that's happened, I don't think that's particularly an option anymore. Though, her eyes kind of light for a moment. You see her eyes just dance up and around, as if thinking rather intently. This has a very large chapel, one of the largest in the country. There is potential to sneak inside. I could test you there.
I mean, we're heading for this anyway. And I mean, it's a batshit crazy plan, but I mean, that's not exactly new with any of us, so I'm not going to act surprised or shocked.
No, I can't imagine you would.
I think it's too late to act surprised or shocked at anything much anymore. Although I probably shouldn't set the bar too low.
Probably not the best of plans.
Well,
my recommendation for you now, right now, is to simply stay where we can see you. Stay close to us. There are methods of helping channelers who can control their abilities, but I won't pretend to you that they are in any way pleasant. Unconsciousness normally renders a channeler harmless, as it does most people. There are certain, as much as we are loath to use them, alchemical formulas that help suppress one's ability to channel. That's Canehurst. But for other reasons, we obviously don't want to particularly cross paths with him.
Yeah, I think I'll agree there. Well, alchemy-wise, it might not be a pleasant option, but I'd rather any option than unnecessary.
I say we're loath to use it because well, as you may or may not know, we're not exactly in agreement with college that alchemy is the way forward for us. It is a fundamental change in what it is to be human.
I mean, I'm already pretty changed. Sybil's gonna point to the weird obsidian kind of scarring that he has around his face, and I don't think anyone really is bothered about the values of any organization. So, siding with Lakeview College, if it stops this, then I'm not really against. But hey, we'll weigh our options when we get to the choice. I guess.
She very weakly smiles and nods.
In the meantime, it's possible, and possible means a long shot because we don't have much information, but it's possible that Sam, the child, is helping us or helping me in some way deal or stay the weird stuff. So I'm not going to try and understand or comprehend it, but if there's anything Inquisitor-wise that reminds you of that could help, maybe it sparks something, I don't know. Maybe it's good to keep an eye on.
As I said, Sam is the special base. There's a lot surrounding them, and not a lot I fully understand. I'm certainly not the person to try and understand it outside of my area of expertise. But if he brings you comfort, then that's a good thing. The
Comfort.
important... She just nods, allows you to continue.
Not important. Comfort and safety, I think, two different things. I haven't been comfortable in a while. And I haven't really been safe in a while, but anyway, go on.
Well, regardless of that, if it's something that makes you safer, comfort will come with safety.
Suppose.
This is path. It is always a long path, but it is an inevitability on that path. Nothing else, she says, and again just reaches out and just kind of... You can see her go to just rest her hand on your shoulder, but instead just kind of gives you a pat.
Get in, boy. All right.
We'll get you there.
There. Yeah. 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 Subil is not convincing at all. Yeah.
I mean, if nothing else, Subil, you've surprised me before, so let's assume you'll surprise me again. And let's assume that this time it's a more pleasant surprise.
Yeah. Let's. Sybil's just gonna kind of gaze off in the distance for a minute. Yeah.
With that, she just kind of leans over the side of the ship and seems to not so much zone out, but just begin to watch the waves as they start crashing against the ship, looking over the nearby fields and the rolling hills beyond. And you can see the moon just jutting up over them. And again, there's, apart from the occasional word from Moorhen or exhortation from Sam, there's a pleasant quietness to the air. Jules, whereas you're not eavesdropping, as you said, you are keeping an eye on them, and you do see their conversation just slowly die off, and reach the point where they're both just standing there quietly watching out over the edge of the ship. Are you happy to sit and wait?
For the time being, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. In the deck, under the ship, or more precisely, within the ship, Violet, Kylan, you are currently sat in the same living space that you were earlier. Moorhen's cards still lie on the table, as does one of his books. And you're aware, of course, that both Subil and Jules have made their way upstairs, and they've been up there for about 10 minutes or so at this point. And the drink is still out on the table, the violin is still in its case, sat to the side, and the rooms beyond, the small sleeping quarters, as much as they can be called that, lie completely unused. The space is yours.
Violet's probably going to go straight over to the violin and then just start cleaning it and tuning it. Basically trying just to calm herself down and doing the best she can by just doing what she knows, which is sort out the violin, basically.
I think Kylan will stand there for a minute, not really entirely sure what they're going to do. Then with kind of almost a resigned sigh, go back to the alcohol on the table. And they look over to Violet and they say, I'm pouring myself one. Do you want anything?
Yeah, I think that, yeah.
Well, we want to keep our wits about us, but a little bit more won't hurt. And pours a reasonable amount, like a moderate amount, into 2 glasses. And,
Not that much, I imagine.
Yeah, a reasonable amount. I would say probably about, if it's a glass that size, probably about half.
Mm-hmm.
And sets it down and says, drink as much or as little of it as you like. And briefly debates downing theirs and then pulls himself back and takes a sip. And just goes, I won't ask you if you're alright. It seems a bit stupid at this point.
No, I mean, they seem like they knew that they've dealt with something like that before, and it's just been a weird few weeks. I'm just trying to wrap my head around everything.
I mean, not to assume, but unless you're an immaculate liar, judging by your answers from the game earlier, it's not really your forte, this whole weird stuff.
It's definitely not, like I said. I've been living with my parents, and then I do music. I don't deal with this. This is... Hell, you put this in a song, people won't even believe it. So, you know, it's one of those situations.
He'd chuckle a little bit. Like, yeah, they're a bit of a far-flung song, wouldn't it?
Definitely get a few weird looks in the tavern if I played it.
I don't know, might be the next hit. Just, you know, leave a little of statute of limitations time in first.
Not true, yeah, give it a couple of years and maybe. And, like, Violet will take a sip, and then, like, you'll see, like, the disgust in her face that she's not used to, like, drinking it, but, like, she'll get it down just about, but she's, yeah. There's definitely that look of, like, regret for half a second when she drinks it.
I think Kai will notice this, they're pretty observant. They kind of look you up and down and they say, I do have something just a little bit more sugary, if you'd prefer. They say sugar's good for shock.
Yeah, I think that might be a bit better.
Alright, just a minute. And he's gonna take Violet's glass and dump it into their own side. And then go get some sort of, even if it is still like maybe it's a honey whiskey instead of a normal whiskey, something just with a little bit more of a sugar content, and pour maybe about a fourth a glass of that.
There's some whiskey and meat in a small tumbler, which is exquisitely sweet.
That'll be it then. And about a fourth to a third of a glass, kind of. This is the first time I think that Kylan's really observed the alcohol tolerance of Violet. It was just not a concern for them before. So yeah, about a third of a glass of meat, and it just comes back with that and sets it down and says, I think you'll find that a little bit more to your liking.
I'll like pick up the glass, take a sip, and just be like, yeah, no, that's a lot better, thank you.
I been drinking, this is gonna sound a lot worse than it is, Been drinking the hard stuff for as long as I can remember.
No, we had a family friend who was like that. Yeah, I've seen people like that, but yeah, never really been one to take it myself. But tonight seems like it's appropriate, honestly.
It's just a bit, as well. I'm not trying to get you plastered. I want you aware in case something strange happens.
Yeah. Yeah,
I can imagine how that must feel. I feel like I've been on the off foot for ages now, so for me I thought, yeah, this might as well happen.
I'm just debating a lot of stuff, honestly. Ever since the fire at Southhurt, I've kind of felt like I've been in the wrong place at the wrong time, and then what's just happened kind of made that feeling stronger. And then she'll kind of just put the violin back in its case after she's done with it, because if she tunes it anymore, she's going to break the strings, and she can't replace those just now. So, but yeah, then she'll sit down properly and just drink some more.
And what do you, not to get deep about it, but how do you feel about that? Do you feel like there's a reason you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, or do we just need to get you to this as fast as possible so you can go about your normal life?
I just think I just stowawayed on the wrong boat, and honestly now this is what's happening. I mean, yeah, I am complaining a bit, but I did want adventure when I left home, so can't complain too much. But not this much adventure, not when I.
Might be a careful what you wish for situation.
It's definitely a careful what you wish for situation.
Well, kind of turns a little more serious for a second and just says, I'll do what I can to make sure you're safe while you're here. It's sort of my job.
I appreciate it, and stuff like that happens again. I may not look it, but I can work my way around some sort of weapon, so if you ever need it, I can be somewhat handy. Just, you may have to, get me out the initial shock first, but I can somewhat protect myself if needed.
Alright. I'll keep it in mind. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. Certainly not
Hopefully
against Subil. He doesn't seem like he means any harm.
No, I don't know what to think of the other two. I've only known them for maybe a day or two longer than you have, so.
I'm excellent at vibes.
I
I wouldn't say reading people. I don't think that's fair. That would give me too much credit.
Too much, no, but I mean, I'll take your word for it. If you think that they're decent people, then I've got no one else to trust, so I'll take your word for it.
They don't seem like bad people.
Good.
I wouldn't try to help bad people any more than it took to get them to pay me and get them off my ship. Just kind of shrugs. I keep calling it my ship, but here's a little secret.
No, it's your
It's not even remotely my ship, it's Erna's. Just taking ownership of something, yeah.
One day it'll be yours, it's fine. Maybe. One day you might have your own ship. You never know.
Maybe. We expand the company.
I used to call my neighbour's violin mine for a bit when I was practicing on it, and that was quite fun. He didn't like it, but I sure did. Little 5-year-old me just running around with a violin.
Sounds like a menace, but a good one.
Yeah, it was fun. Until I broke the violin, but we won't talk about that. It's in the past now.
Are your
Are
your parents waiting for you back home?
Not really. We've always had an agreement that when I turned 18, I would leave and find my own space. Though I think they're waiting for letters. I was supposed to send one the day the fire happened at Southhurt, but haven't had the time to send it yet.
This, then, I guess. They'll be worried about you.
Yeah. I'm worried about them, so,
We'll get you there. Or somewhere you can send a letter, but the plan's this, so let's just say we'll get you there.
No. Appreciate it.
I don't want to be nosy, but I do wonder what's taking them so long. I hope Juliana hasn't tried to kill Subil. I don't know anything about the two of them, so I reckon not, but, I mean, she does seem a little trigger-happy.
Yeah, she does. She really does. I'd go look, but honestly, she scares me, and I don't want to get on the bad side of her.
She
So I
scares
think I'm just
you?
gonna... She's a woman with a gun. Of course she scares me. Pretty sure she threatened to kill me first time I met her because she didn't know who I was and I stowed away on the boat.
Do you not have a gun?
I have a violin.
Okay. Alright, yeah.
I wasn't prepared for I was not prepared for any of this.
Of course you weren't. Do you want my knife?
Sure, yeah. You're happy to part with it, yeah.
And just pulls the kind of I think they're probably wearing a jacket of some descript. They pull it aside, and you can see that they've got like a little pouch that has something in it. Goodness knows it's closed. They've got their knife, and they've got a very small, like a pocket pistol. And they unstrap and pull out their hunting knife. It's a hunting knife. I'll give you the stats later. And just set it down and be like, I hope, sincerely, I do, you are never in close enough range to have to use this on anything or anyone.
I'm gonna take the knife and like look at it and just be like, yeah, no, I hope so too. I really do.
If you ever are, don't hesitate. 1 second's all it takes. They're just gonna kind of stand up and say, on that note, and with the drink in their hand, on that note, I guess I'll pop my head out. You sure you don't want to come?
I think I need a minute, honestly. I need to process and do it best by myself, so give me a couple, I'll be right as rain.
Take all the time you need. Just be safe.
Yeah, will do.
And we'll kind of make their way up and crack open the door.
You make your way onto the top deck, leaving Violet behind, just as you can hear the ship creaking, cracking around you. Violet slightly shaking side to side. You can hear Kylan's footsteps as they make their way up the stairs, swing the door open, step out into the brisk evening air. Above, the Icarus has been slowly making his way down a long, strange river towards what appears to be a cave system. A small cave that kind of rises out from beneath a fairly large green hill covered in flowers. The light on the ship has been, or several small lamps have been lit around the side of the ship as Ernest makes his way around and brings you in closer and closer. As you step up, Alan, you can see Moorhen stood on the side again, still talking with Sam. Moving on now from the stars and actually flicking through a book of small pressed flowers that he's just kind of sat on the deck with Sam cross-legged in front of him, just the book laid out between the two, flicking through. Watching over them from a fairly close distance, not quite in a matron-like manner, more in the whole, if I disagree with you, I feel there may be a very large chance I'd pop over and fling you off the ship. You can see Jules leaning, just quietly watching, and on the far end of the ship, both Subil and Juliana both lean over the edge, their backs to the rest of the crew. As you step up, you just hear a brusque voice from behind you. There you are! From Erna.
Erna, great. Just one of a few people I wanted to see. I haven't missed any duties, have I?
No, you're all good. Keeping the passengers happy is as important as anything else.
Yeah.
Well, she kind of shrugs, looking down across the ship. Why do I feel the words happy may be a bit subjective?
Well... and kind of stares into the middle distance for a second. Bit of a situation. Not the worst thing, perhaps. I'm sure there's been Worse, I'm sure. I'm sure there's been worse. Something kind of magic, but maybe not magic, and kind of spooky is maybe happening to one of the passengers, but it's fine. I've got it under control. I'm sure I've got it under control. I'll keep you abreast of anything important that comes from it. There was a bit of an odd artifact, and we've burnt it. So hopefully that's also a problem.
You burnt it? In what?
The incinerator. The coal fire.
Engine.
The engine. Yeah, I burnt it in the engine. Is that a problem?
I mean, generally just throwing shit in the engine is normally a bad decision to make, unless it's what we specifically mean to put in the engine.
I mean, I know you're right, but call me paranoid.
She just puts her finger out. Just don't do it again.
Okay. This might sound a little silly, but I thought if we threw it overboard, it'd swim back.
Did you burn a cat in my engine?
No, it wasn't living. Well, I can't guarantee that. It wasn't it wasn't an animal, and it definitely wasn't a person. It was a
Do you mind
magic
just
bag.
taking the wheel for a bit and maybe
Why?
get some fresh air? Well, the fact you're walking up here with a drink in your hand and telling me you're burning magic items in my engine, I'm going to start questioning.
Kylan sighs and it's just like, I was sober when it happened. I was sober when it happened.
I'm fairly sure I've heard that a few times. It was as she steps away from the wheel and kind of makes her way down onto the deck itself. It was a favorite of my ex-husband, so let's not repeat that, hey?
I'm not your ex-husband, just shouts.
And as she reaches the door into the door into the lower ship, she goes, "And talking like that, you never will be." And she just slams the door.
What? And just kind of sets the drink down and just puts her hands on the wheel and kind of just makes sure nothing goes terribly.
You get the dimmest impression of a very muffled laugh coming from below deck as you continue to move. Can you do me a wee carouse check, please?
Oh, jeez Louise. Yeah, of course I can.
We'll call this difficulty of 9.
Oh, no. Okay. It's fine.
And on that note, if everyone hasn't already done it, please draw your cards.
Did we get the spare card or no?
You do get the spare card.
Okay. I appreciate that. Oh, okay. Not too bad then. That's an 11. I'm doing fine.
Okay. You manage to keep the ship heading forwards. There is a moment that almost everyone does notice as the ship changes hands and you begin to just reorientate yourself as there is a bit of a wobble and a shake and then it just steadies eventually. But you keep it moving forward as you're meant to. Below deck, Violet. You're kind of just sat there in the quiet. Violet in the quiet.
I'm going to make that a book now.
Please
or
do.
Song. There you
go. And you just kind of sit there for a moment, again enjoying the silence. Your hands still resting on the, unbeknownst to you, 30 coin worth of drink sat in that small glass. And very much unbeknownst to Kylan.
It was a drink.
You take a couple more sips. Your violin sits near you, case just cracked open. You see it in there, the rich lacquered wood staring back at you, almost polished to a point of reflection. There's a shimmer of an image on there. And as you kind of just sit there and stare at it, time dilutes and shifts around you. Before you know it, a few more minutes have passed. You blink and realize you've been blinking for about 5 minutes. The only thing that rouses you from that very sudden sleep that seems to have crept up on you is the heavy footsteps of Erna as she moves her way through the midship. Erna, as I've already mentioned, is a tall, very thin, athletically built woman. She has to duck slightly while moving through the ship. It occurs to you it's almost curious that she owns and operates a ship she can't stand up in.
Okay.
She moves across, and as you kind of snap awake in the same way that most do who haven't realized they've fallen asleep, she just stops and kind of head towards you. You okay there?
Yeah, no, just lost no chance, I think, for a minute there.
Well, I imagine you would be drinking that, she says, glancing at the glass and the small decanter left next to it.
I've only had one glass of it, I swear.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
it's
should
a small
bill you
one
for
of
that.
I mean, you can, but all my money got left in Southside, so I can work for it, maybe.
I'm kidding. It's okay.
Okay.
You can drink the alcohol. It's on the ship for the guests.
I just kind of sit there and nod for a second. See, yeah.
She kind of looks at you and glances down the hallway to where you know the sleeping quarters to sit. I tell you to go and get some rest, but we're coming up on the drop fairly shortly. Maybe go grab 5 minutes. Rest your eyes.
I think I might get some air first, and then I'll go and sleep.
Good idea. Just smiles and kind of continues down, heading towards the cargo bay.
I'll kind of like
once again.
Yeah, I'd say I'll wait for it to go and then finish what's left in the cup, and then I don't know if I've got anything to hold the knife in on me. I don't think I do, but I'll just kind of. Actually, look at my sheet. No, I don't think I do. So I'll just kind of try my best to hide the knife somewhere, and then go walk up on the deck to actually get some air.
You kind of take a minute and just look at what you're wearing and your various pouches and such, and you don't really have much to work with in the way of hiding anything. Do me a stealth check. So it's looking.
Check.
Cunning if you don't have it.
I didn't. Okay. That is a. That's a 9 in total.
I don't know if this is applicable. Sorry for interrupting, but as I didn't provide you the stats quickly, the hunting knife does have a positive flip, so an advantage to any attempt to hide it.
Perfect. Flip another card. Let's see if you do any better. Thank you.
Well, that second one was a black joker, so.
Thank you for getting it out of the way.
No problem. Glad I could help. Oh. There you go. I dropped the knife and sliced my finger off. There you go.
It lands right on your toe.
You drop your knife, it becomes possessed by an evil spirit. Kills us all.
No, thank you.
Again.
I don't want to be.
You kind of looking around for somewhere to stash the knife on your person, and just kind of take a moment, lean near the violin, and as you do, the entire ship just lurches to the left for a brief second, and drop the knife. You barely have a moment to try and snatch at it with your other hand as it flies past you and lands in the violin case, leaving a horrifically large cut running along the left-hand face of the violin. It severs one of the strings as it hits the floor, and there's just a loud as the string snaps.
She starts crying. No. She looks devastated. I'm devastated. What's my character about her violin? It's great. Yeah, no, she's just like absolutely heartbroken, and she'll do that thing, when like you've broken something and you're thinking it's not broken, I can fix this easily. So she'll like start like trying to rub at the scratch, but it's fine, and then she'll just like look really sad, just close it, take it upstairs, and just be really sad as she walks onto the deck, just holding this violin case like it's a dead body in a way, like both hands like that, just like no. Yeah, she's
As you
devastated.
check it, the scratch is about a fourth of an inch deep. It's deep enough that when you run your thumb across it, the skin depresses into the new wound. Even against the kind of fine wax that you've been layering across it, you can feel that change. You can feel the wax where it's kind of come up and off. And as you close the case, clasp it back together and lift it, the offending hunting knife still lies on the floor next to it. You can see shreds of wood, a bit of wood still stuck to the end of it.
I'll pick up the knife because I'm going to need it anyway. But I'll take up the knife, pick up the case, and then just solemnly and sadly just walk my way up into the top deck and just look heartbroken, like I've just lost literally the most. She has just looked not destroyed, but currently not going to be able to use the most important thing in the world to her. So she is yeah.
You make your way up, step onto the deck. Again, the door flings open and everyone aboard on the top deck is dimly aware the door opens and someone steps out. Violet, you do so, and you kind of, for anyone who's looking, of course, holding the case almost in solemn reverence. The knife is just kind of tucked into your belt at this point.
Mm.
You're almost less concerned if it cuts you than the damage it's already done.
It's I feel like because it's like the only thing she kind of has, she's definitely the kind of person who would prefer injury happening to herself rather than the instrument. And now it's happened, she doesn't know what to do. She's just like, I failed my one job in life, which is to keep this safe. She needs to get her priorities straight, but musicians, man, really weird and protective of her instruments.
As you kind of take that mindset in place, unfortunately, Kylan's a little bit absorbed in the job they're doing and keeping the ship moving forwards. Subil is paying attention to just where the ship is going, existing in a moment of quiet peace. So it's really just Jules as you see Violet make her way up, a look of devastation plastered across her features. You see it for a moment as the ship slips into the cave on the hill, and you have a moment as the moonlight is ripped away from you, only to be replaced by the soft glow of the lanterns now hanging around the vessel, and you disappear into this underground cave system. It's up to you if you want to say anything to her, Jules.
Jules will Jules won't sleep or take a nap. She'll sulk basically in the corner.
Okay.
Because in her mind, out of everyone to survive from the catastrophe that we've dealt with, she's been stuck with Subil, who in her mind is a liability. She's trying to protect a kid. So yeah, she's just going to sulk like a child with a bottle with her.
Fair enough. In which case, in that state of sulking, depression, quiet contemplation, and slightly drunk ship steering, you continue for the next hour.
Got an 11!
Slightly. Merry. As I said, the ship is straight. You're navigating the canals wonderfully.
What's going on up here isn't affecting what's going on down here.
This is on automatic at this point. The ship continues through the canals, almost expertly guided through, as if Kylan knows these small waterways at the back of their hand. You move to and fro, taking several sharp turns, heading down, eventually towards a source of light. As I say, you exist within this darkness, this half-light from lanterns for about an hour before eventually the ship breaks open into a large open cavern. As you approach it, you can hear the sounds of more engines, of further conversation and raucous laughter that echoes around the caverns that you've been traveling through. And as that light comes closer and closer, the cavern opens up. And directly in front of you, you can see a large jetty. 4 or 5 separate ships moored up to it, all similar makes to the Icarus itself. And sat right at the end of it, just poking off over the edge of a very steep waterfall, is a small brown wood building. Very much built up from old materials, and you can see patchworks of replacements littering its surface. A small chimney releasing small gouts of smoke into the air, which disappear up into a cavern that drains above. A small, again, a slice of moonlight cutting down into the area. Just beyond it, attached to the waterfall itself, you see a large mechanical structure, immediately recognized as a waterlock. Kylan, you know full well that this is the aforementioned drop, a connection point through the underground canal systems of Chalice that connects the north to the south, and acts almost like a gateway into Ignis, the next province. Or at least it's as much as a border passing as smugglers ever really care for. It is operated and owned by the Black Barrel Boys, who operate, again, primarily out of Ditz, and a name that, to anyone on the ship, only 2 of you really recognize it. Of course, yourself, Kylan, and Subil, you know of them. Travelled with one of them for a very short period of time. As you begin to approach it, and you can hear and smell and see everything that is embraced in the drop and the small bar that hangs next to it, the overhang, Erna comes back up from the below deck, and in a rather loud voice just turns to the entire crew and everyone assembled upon it. We're going to be swinging by the overhang for a few hours as we prepare for the next stage of our journey. I'd recommend, while we're here, everyone goes and gets a drink and something to eat. I'd really recommend you get something to eat. We're going to be taking a slightly different way of moving ahead than was originally planned, but I've got someone I need to talk to while we're here. I'm a little bit worried about our timekeeping here. Kylan?
Yes,
stay with us
from
long. Yeah.
From the helm. Yes. Oh, of course.
Just make sure they're fed and watered. I'll come and
Fed and
find you when
watered.
we're ready.
All right. Yeah, can do. 1,
Perfect.
2, 3. It starts like thinking, okay, how many people do I have on this ship? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, gotta round them up.
With that, she kind of marches up past you, gives you a pat on the back, and takes the wheel. We shouldn't be anything more than an hour, she whispers to you. But just get some food in them.
Right. You all right?
Yeah, we will be fine. There's a letter I kind of forgot to open before we left, and I'm a little bit worried that some of the roads ahead might be compromised. So we're going to take a slightly different route.
Okay.
Food.
Food.
You too.
Okay. Yeah. I trust you. Whatever way you think is best, I'll take care of everyone. Okay. Fine. And just kind of turns around. All right. To the tavern. I need to see 6 of you. 6. Yeah, 6.
With that, Inna brings the ship around to the jetty and moors you up. It doesn't take too long before she's flinging the guide rope over, lashing it together, and just sending you all on your various way. Moorhen and eventually Juliana make their way off the ship, Moorhen leading the way and Juliana very, very much bringing up the rear. And Sam just making his way off the second any of you pay even the slightest piece of attention to him, latching onto you and wandering alongside. Is there anything you'd like to do before heading into the bar, or is there anything you'd rather do? The area is, as I say, quite small. It really only exists of the jetty, the overhang bar, and the mechanical structure of the drop itself. There's a very small building that hangs off the far side of the drop. Nothing more than what you would assume to be maybe a tool shed or a very small bedroom. Large enough for maybe one man to swing a rather small cat.
Is everyone amenable with the food?
Mommy. I mean, I have no cash or possessions, which is a little bit awkward.
Just kind of like...
That is a good point, Ben. Do we have any money?
Money? What's that?
Not really.
Sorry, I'm just looking at my money.
In your various travels, you've kind of burnt through the small amount you had.
Well, I had like 300, but we've been through a fair amount of captures.
You had 300! I don't think I even had close to that.
It was the original fund for our journey expedition. I had a couple of hundred at least. But we got captured so many times.
20 at most.
I definitely don't still have that. Like,
pinch the bridge of their nose and just goes, it's my treat.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kylan.
Don't order any expensive drinks. We have drinks on the boat. And just kind of...
Okay.
Which I'm happy to give you when we're on the boat. Just water. But whatever you want to eat.
Jules will, of course, bring a bottle with her.
Fair, yeah. BYOB. Yeah, Kylan's like, but whatever you're hungry for, don't feel like you've got to order the gruel or something. Get your food.
I want, like, a big breakfast. What time is it? Does anyone know what time it is?
No.
Well, it's breakfast time.
Would Kylan know,
and she's gonna stumble her way.
Oh, jeez Louise. Okay. Would Kylan, I assume, would at least know how much time that normally takes and when they left, so...
You've been travelling for about a day at this point. They arrived first thing in the morning. And by when I say...
morning-ish.
It's getting there.
Okay. Like, yeah, it's close to morning as anything. But if I remember the place correctly, they don't really care what time of day it is. Whatever you want. Well, I mean, not that there's much selection. Just kind of...
I was intrigued by what kind of breakfast you were expecting in a shack in a cave, in a canal, in a criminal underground area?
Fish.
Yeah. Good breakfast.
Kylan is, like, gently herding everyone toward the tavern while this conversation is happening. Just like,
as you're walking,
fish. Yeah.
I feel like Jules has a nose for... Jules has a nose for where the closest tavern is. So she's gonna like sniff it out, and we'll go that way. Just because she knows like
it's
where the best place would be. Yeah,
the only
that's basically Jules'. Yeah. Jules' only skill in life is finding the tavern.
You wander over to the nearby building, the overhang. swing the door open, and as you start the conversation with, I wonder what food they have, Sam begins to offer up a few selections. It's like, oh, eggs and pies. Pies would be great. Which then starts more hen off to go, I could really do with some bacon. Just really burnt down to a crisp, to the point you can't even recognize it is what it is.
Oh,
I liked you until this
speak my
very
language.
moment. Two
He just-
completely different
yeah,
responses.
He just shrugs. It's how my dad used to cook. No, I say cook,
I like
cremate.
mine.
He used to
Nah,
cremate.
Yeah. I like nice and crunchy.
Kylan smiling despite themselves.
It's at that point you kind of blunder your way in. The overhang itself is a very small bar. The open floor of it is actually not much larger than maybe 10 to 15 foot in any particular direction. Four very small circular tables dot its area, and one of them is already completely overwhelmed by 3 people in a very kind of loose, almost mocking dress of aristocracy, waistcoats and heavy jackets that just hang open, openly stained by oil and coal. A heavy pickaxe just lingers on the table next to one of them, leaning in place. You can see a series of notches running along its ledge. And on the far end of this bar, you can see a single, fairly tired-looking man, a thin set of very small round glasses perched off the end of his nose, leaning very much on his gut over the bar, flicking through a small book as he just his finger and moves from one page to the next. The door opens and a small bell rings, causing him to just push one page down and look over at you. How you doing?
Oh yeah?
Oh, Kylan. I didn't know you were coming through.
Yeah, we had a bit of a express situation. We've got some passengers that need feeding, if you don't mind.
As long as you can pay.
Yeah,
The
I've got the
man-
queen.
The one you know to be by the name of Armand Price slides his book closed and places it on the table. Kind of hefts himself up, and as he does so, he drops off of the stool he was on and just drops by a good foot to the point that his head is visible just above the bar. You can kind of make out his shoulders up. At this point, the bald spot on his head becomes infinitely more visible, and the poor comb over that's really trying to hide it, but just doesn't quite go far enough. The pomade lathered through it keeps it in place as much as it very clearly is trying to escape with each step when it kind of threatens to fly off. He just...
Oh, he just says that I've got food on me, but I told them no drinks.
Oh, are you trying to...
Sides, and I'm gonna go. Hi there, hon. I'd like how many whiskeys? How many whiskeys? And breakfast all
Absolutely
around.
no whiskeys.
She's
Not
a good one, isn't she?
Single
5
whiskey.
whiskeys.
No whiskeys.
Right, you're right. It's too early. We need to start with something strong and hefty like mead.
Armand, we're not drinking. We're just eating food. She's got some anyway.
He kind of looks
I've drank
between
it,
the two
and I'm
of
gonna
you.
put the empty bottle on the bar. It's empty.
Look at me.
I need a new one.
Look at me. I'm the only one with money. Look at me. No drinks.
Please. Pretty please. Just one.
You can literally walk back to the boat, Jules. You can just walk back.
Right! I'll do that. Jules will do that.
I'm sorry.
Stumbling through, push through. As soon as she gets out the door, she falls over.
I don't have a
She gets
pocketbook
up.
for that. I don't.
And she keeps going.
And just kind of
Yeah.
gestures to the door, like.
You go take a seat. I'll get the food to you. Breakfast, she said. I assume you still want that?
You all want breakfast?
Oh, yeah.
Please and thank you very much. I will round it up, I promise. And just kind of
He just nods. And,
turns around, get a table. I'm gonna go get her. And just heads back out.
The man turns away from you and just bobs. Literally, he bounces as he steps away from the bar into a back room. And even as you start passing through the door to find Jules, you can hear him whistling away in the background, as you know full well. Thick pork sausages are being thrown into a hot pan, and a few old eggs, you really hope are fresher than the last time you were here, are cracked in alongside.
I'm sure it's fine. They had one particularly bad egg. Just, yeah, we'll go outside. Kind of doesn't know that Jules face planted because it was outside, I reckon. But just knew that was a thing that was happening. And so does Kylan come upon the face planted Jules when they step back outside?
She's face planted and then got up and then kept going because that's her main goal. She
Fair
doesn't
enough.
stop.
Fair enough. Still gonna probably follow you. Let's.
As you, Jules, as you start making your way over to the ship, very determinedly knowing exactly where the liquor cabinet is, run into Erna. She finishes up and starts walking, not quite towards the overhang. You can see her moving towards the machinery of the drop. And upon seeing you, she kind of re-diverts and comes over to you and said, "You okay there?"
Doing all right.
You sure? You don't seem to be.
Yeah. I've been better.
It's just kind
Luckily, we have a free bar. And I think that's what I need. So I'm gonna just gonna, and I'm gonna slide past him.
She kind of takes one of her very long arms, and with a rather, you can see the sinew of her muscle on her forearm as she just takes you by the shoulder and starts to pull you back in the other direction, gently but firmly. I'm going to give you a piece of advice, primarily because of... And she just kind of shakes the thought out of her head. You know why. You do not want an inordinate amount of alcohol in your system in the next hour. Go and eat something.
I'm going to get very close to her face and I'm going to say, "You weren't there." And I'm going to get back on the boat.
If there was anything she was going to do to stop you, the words pull that out of them. For Kylan, it's due to that stop. It's as you kind of come towards them and you see Jules moving away from Erna, who just stands there and...
Kind of walks up to Erna after a second, with a little bit of a shrug, and says, "Everyone else is seated, and breakfast is ordered."
Good.
I'm gonna... For some reason, I'm gonna go on the ship right now.
Okay. In a way you've never seen her, she doesn't really have anything to say. She just pulls herself back to full height, breathes in a big, hearty gulp of air, just slaps you once on the shoulder and walks off.
And just goes to the... isn't gonna shout after her. has the passing thought, there's definitely at least one thing happening I don't know about, if not more than one thing happening. But knows Erna enough to leave well enough alone at this point. Or at least that it is against everything I know of Erna, and that's enough. That's enough. So instead, the blinders go back on the very, very somewhat intoxicated woman stumbling back onto the boat. And
You go
There
after
goes.
Jukes.
yeah.
Meanwhile, in the bar, Sybil, Violet, you found a chair, a couple of chairs around one of the tables, and settled yourself down. Already, Moorhen has picked one table at random and has just kind of sat down, waited until Sam was sufficiently wrapped up in what was going along to break away from the group, pick his own table, and take a seat. You can already see him barely touching the chair before he pulls out another book and a small, very, very carefully pulls out an ink vial and a rather elaborate looking fountain pen. And just start dipping away and scribbling away in the book as he goes. Juliana, still watching him, takes a seat, the two of you, as Sam kind of clambers onto these high stools that are matched around the chairs, to the point where he's actually struggling till Juliana reaches over and helps him up. At which point he just kind of plops himself down and places his hands just like this on top of the table. What are we eating?
Oh, Sam, I think I can smell sausages.
Ooh, I don't think I've ever had sausages.
Oh, you'd like sausages. You'd like sausages. I think I can smell eggs, but they do smell a bit off. But I don't know yet. We'll find out. We'll find out, Sam. We'll find out.
Juliana kind of, I'd avoid the eggs if I were you, Sam.
But enjoy the sausages. Was gonna look
Very much.
trying to give him a little smile, you know.
As you kind of just chat between yourselves, you hear a chair pushing out, and just glance over to see one of the men from the other table just picking himself up, dusting off his long coat. You can see that the arms, as he moves, the stitching on both sides come loose, and there's a couple of stray strands hanging there. He just kind of slaps the top of the handle of the pickaxe and wanders over to you. All right there, everyone. What brings you by overhand?
Just passing through, you know, the usual.
Ah, that it? You want to earn his lot?
Ideally.
Ah, ideally. You feeling a bit awkward there, friend?
Always, always. But it's the state that I exist in because
Don't you worry. It's nothing to worry about. My name is Saul. Pleasure to meet you. And he offers a hand out.
Sybil's just gonna give him a kind of a nod, and then he's just gonna.
Rude to not shake a man's hand.
No. Within the nod, he's also gonna stand up full, and then just give him a little bow in the middle of this presumably pretty empty tavern, but or a little shack. But give him a proper little bow. You go. Sorry, it's a weird cultural thing. Handshakes, a bit rude in my culture, but hey, bows. He's gonna give him another one, a little dip.
You can see he just processes that for a moment. I mean, funny.
I'm just not keen with shaking hands. It's nothing personal, my friend.
Friend. Presumptuous.
Well, I'd rather not presume otherwise.
You, from the corner of the room, hear a slight the stopping of the pen moving as Moorhen just looks over at you.
Sybil's just gonna look back at him and just kind of give a little smirk, a little shrug.
You watch his pen move and just goes, and goes back to what he was doing. The man in front of you just kind of shoves his thumbs through his coat and just into the brim of his waistcoat. Oddity. That's what you are. How's the kid?
What do you mean?
He looks over at the child. Oh, you're late, aren't you?
How do you mean?
I'm sorry, I didn't properly say who I was. Sorry. Saul Benjamin. One of the, well, I like to think of myself as one of the big hitters of the Barrel Boys. Do you want to explain to me how Krail beat your ass to this? And why I'm finding you here with the package? Subil, isn't it?
It is.
I thought I'd seen your face fucking plastered on posters all over the pissing country.
I think you answered your own question there, my friend.
Oh, I have.
Yeah.
Do you know, he just leans in very close to you, uncomfortably. So
lean in to kind of match, but is not fully. But Sybil's not backing down here. We go.
And you have the fucking gall to bring an Inquisitor with you. You're not the only one with eyes out there, boy. We watch our own interests.
Sybil's gonna take a deep breath, and he's gonna settle back in his chair a little bit. He's gonna let the breath out a little bit. He's gonna say, "Sorry, Saul. It has been a bit of a weird couple of weeks. The Inquisitor, I'll give it you. I haven't had a thought, or I haven't had time to think about how odd it is walking in. But for as much as my existence and still livingness implies, she's not any kind of spy or anything other than a temporary ally. Because otherwise, we'd all probably be dead by now. In terms of why we're late, if I told you, you probably wouldn't believe me. I still don't really believe me. The severity of the situation is evident. I just want to get this job done. So can you help me?
He leans back, just kind of rocks on his own heels for a moment, glances over at his three others still sat at the table, who have all very much turned in their chairs. Two of the three of them now have their hands just kept under their coat. A position very much held at the same time by Juliana as she sits on the table looking at you and at them. Again, you know her hand to be resting on the handle of a pistol. Sam is just looking up at both of you and kind of leans over towards Violet. Will the sausages be here, sir?
I'll just kind of lean back and be like, I think so, yeah, let's just wait a minute, shall we? And then just obviously like keep an eye on what's happening and like Yeah. Trying to keep him
So-
calm, but also not strong. She's scared, she's shaking, kind of already, you can tell, but she's fine.
Saul finishes rocking back and forth, just places his feet kind of at a right angle from themselves and just straightens his back. We're at a really interesting crossroads here. Do you know how much we get paid for moving you people? Hazard a guess for me, Subil.
I wouldn't want to.
Oh no, please, I insist.
Go on.
Well, I can tell you there's a couple of zeros discrepancy between how much we've been paid to move you and how much you're worth. At which point you hear another one of the stools moving out. And from behind you hear the slow grind of metal and the pickaxe running across the floorboards, the tip of it chipping on the wood with every couple of inches. So, he just starts rubbing his eye, picking at his fingernail. How much should I worry about honoring this contract of ours? I mean, as I hear it, the Freed aren't exactly, well, let's say their namesake's a bit of a misnomer these days.
Oh, you're threatening me now. Sorry, I've been through a lot in the last couple of weeks. Did you think that if you didn't help us, you could get the bounty on our heads, or you could somehow profit? Is any of us being here possibly some of the most? I know we're running in the lead for the most wanted people in Chalice. Hey, Jacob, my friend over here. Well, I'm sure you know his reputation. And you think that you can profit off of us? You realize that the Leviathan of the Inquisition are very much past reasoning. My offer of you getting us out of here as fast as you possibly can on this green, whatever god that you worship, place that you call home, and the faster you can get us out of here, the safer you are. And that's not a threat from me or from Inquisitor over there. She's just as much fuckery as the rest of us. That's a promise from everything that I'm sure you've heard of the situation, which is very much a fraction of the truth, but that's my piece at least. And he's just gonna slump back and just chill for a minute, just staring at the wall for a couple of seconds, and then back at Saul straight into his eyes.
Saul stands there and smiles, and his pickaxe is brought over to him, and he just kind of, with his left hand, just takes it casually and leans on it as you slump back into your chair. He looks around the room. You can feel, Juliana poised, ready to spring. Even more Hen on the far end of the room. You can see his hand is now resting on the strange-looking sword that he keeps to his side. Saul looks around. The whistling from the kitchen has stopped. You can still hear the crackling and the popping of the pan and the smell of what smells like a hopefully good eggs wafting on the wind. As Saul just goes, well, slaps his hand on the table and just causes it to move slightly. Leans in towards you. It's a good job I'm pulling your fucking chain then, isn't it? You're not even my cargo. You're not my problem. I've got my own problems.
Oh, yeah.
I was just curious what the great Subil would react to.
How'd you find it? Yeah?
Everything I expected and more. You little
I
shit.
got you, Benjamin. Mr. Benjamin himself.
He reaches over and just firmly smacks his hand down on yours, and what he is sure is probably a welcoming gesture. It hurts. Armand! Break out the good stuff for these pricks.
He's just gonna pull his hand free.
There's a big red bruise now where he hit you. He shouts out, and you can just hear the whistling start back up again as he steps away. All of you are in good hands. Trust this prick. And Kyla, she's good people. And as for fucking her enough, she scares the living shit out of me. But hey, you guys do you. We're fucking off. When you're in Dis, swing by. The
Will
Black
do.
Band.
I'll keep it up. I appreciate you. You probably... I'll see you later.
And with that and his rather loud exultations, he makes his way out of the building and brings his little crew with him, laughing as they move at this point. You can see a couple of them, especially the one at the back, pulls out a small selection of cigarettes and just passes them around. Does stop at the table and offers you one.
Yeah, well, I'll see you.
Take one, he just pops a match out, places it down on the table, gives you a nod and heads off. They exit from the building in as rapid as a manner as they kind of change, the air of the room shifts. And as they go, Armand makes his way out of the room, out of the kitchen, precariously balancing 6 plates, wobbling with every step as he bounces from foot to foot and just sliding them out onto the tables. And I'll bring you out the best shortly.
Smells good. That's all I'm saying.
In each of the small tin bowls that are placed out, there's just 3 lovely plump pork sausages, slightly bursting it seems, and 2 eggs, not actually too badly cooked. There's a good bit of colour to them. There seems to be what you think is salt sprinkled over the top and a green vegetable of some variety, chopped up and thrown on in the air of someone who thinks they're garnishing and is actually just throwing shit onto the plate. He makes his way around the room and just places them on, and again, as rapidly as he comes in, he disappears back, and you can hear, again, a pan, heat, starting to emanate out, and something else being prepared for you. On the boat, Jules, you've already managed to find your way down to the lower deck and into the liquor cabinet. And as you kind of swung it open in front of you, and you have several dozen bottles arrayed before you, can hear footsteps rapidly approaching as Kylan comes down.
As Kylan's coming, I automatically want to hide a bottle and then pretend like I'm picking up a brand new one, checking it out.
Do me a stealth flip.
Okay. What would that be? Would that be
Cunning?
cunning?
Stealth is a skill.
Yeah, stealth is a skill as well.
But if you don't have it, it's cunning, yeah.
Okay. Oh no, I do have stealth. Don't worry.
Sorry, the sheet that I have has... It's not that I'm like an encyclopedia. The sheet that I have has all of the, what the root of each skill is next to it.
9 plus 3, so 12.
Okay. And
Minus
Kylan.
how many I would take being drunk. Unless you want me to do like a disadvantage, I can do a disadvantage.
At this point, I am imagining that your need for more alcohol is outweighing the effects.
Actually, that's a
of the
good point.
alcohol.
I might be spectacular at this because I'm
Yeah.
so in need of alcohol. No,
This is a
you're right.
practice
They
reaction.
won't. They cancel each other out. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And Kylan, as they enter, can you make me a notice check? You now
Yep.
know what the difficulty is.
That's a 16.
You're fairly sure Jules is confident in the fact that she's slipped that bottle up her sleeve, bar the fact that she's left the actual spout of the bottle poking out and can't actually put her hand down because of it.
So I'm like straight armed.
I think Kylan's gonna like lean against the doorway and just be like, aren't you gonna drink the one up your sleeve first?
That's for later.
You know, the bar is going to be there later. Hopefully.
I need it now. I need like a drink to like take down the food. I'm starving.
You need a drink for later now.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
And it's gonna kind of step down the stairs and say, I can't tell you. Technically, you're on my boat. Sort of. You're sort of on my boat. That's a technicality. So I could technically say, hey, you can't. But I'm not going to because it's dumb. Just kind of looks at her. Maybe tries to gently encourage her to set down the second one she was picking up. Up to you if that works. It's sort of a
Jules
physical.
is not gonna. Jules is gonna stand there and act like a wall, and will just frown at you if you get any closer to me. And touch me in any way, I'll just frown at you and just be a wall.
Rolls their eyes. I don't know you very well. But I can already tell you're the kind of person that's trying to be strong for everyone until you can't handle it anymore. I don't think getting plastered when we don't know what's ahead of us is the way to do it.
Well, as someone who has gone through shit, I wish I was drunk then, so I'm out of start now. And also, I would really like a break. I've been on the run with these people for a while. I've put up with a lot, so I'm just... Before you start therapizing me, I'm gonna take a break, okay? So, I'm gonna now go get some food, and then we're gonna get on the rest of this boat, and then we're gonna have a good time. And I think that sounds great.
Can you put one of them back? One of them.
One of them back. The bottles I have, what is the bottle that I try to pick up? So, of course, I've got one that is mead.
It was a
food, and
slightly large bulbous bottle of cognac.
I'll give you the cognac. I'll keep the mead.
I'm not here to spoil your fun. I don't know you, but you sure as hell seem like you deserve a break. I just can't have any of you dying on my watch. Just puts the cognac back on. I just said cognac. Puts the cognac back on the shelf and just says, it doesn't have to be personal.
I need a break. And she's gonna stumble out.
Yeah, me too, and I've just had you for a day. And he's gonna follow.
With that, the two of you return back to the overhang. You don't know where Anna's gone. There's no sign of her anywhere as you're wandering across. You make your way back in, you find the others arrayed inside as one of the other ships makes its way into the waterlock, and you start to feel and not so much hear the water descending and being drained from its lowering the ship down the waterfall into the next portion of the river. You find two plates full of sausage and egg waiting for you, and a new piece of fried toast, smothered sugar, spices, laid on top of each piece, as Armin has made his second round out and delivered what he has called his best dish onto the plates of every single one of you. Of all of you, Sam has eaten half his entire piece and half of Juliana's before she noticed it went missing, and is threatening to move on to anyone else's who isn't paying enough attention, as a good hour of simply sitting and eating and relaxing as small cups of black coffee are then placed onto each table one by one. You barely notice the hour passing before Erna reappears at the door, ducking past as a small figure shuffles behind her off towards the ship. There's a slight rattling to their movements as they go. A heavy white, more grey shawl hanging across their back and covering most of their head as they go. Can't make any discerning features beyond that. The next thing you hear is as Erna glances to each of you in turn. Everyone on the ship, we're going. And it's there that we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and we will be back shortly. We'll catch you all in a bit. Hello, thank you very much for holding with us as we refueled, refreshed, and all that other good stuff. Took our own short rest. Haha, wrong system. Right, let's jump back in. Yeah. Okay, so as we last left it, Erna had stepped through the door of the overhang and called each of you through to follow her back to the ship. Moorhen rather rapidly packed some goods up, putting his pen and putting his pen back into a small silver travel case and very carefully clasping everything back together before placing it in his pack. Juliana stands, helps Sam down, quickly checks over the plates, and snatches up the small quarter of the bread that she'd left behind, hands it to Sam as she strolls out the front door swiftly after Moorhen, and leaving Sam very much hopping along in her wake, chewing away at the bread as he goes. Armin, watching everyone leave, has the moment of just kind of putting his hand up as you step out of the door.
Oh.
As everyone vacates, he picks up that little book he was reading through earlier, scribbles down 6 breakfasts, 6 best, 6 coffees. Fair enough.
Oh, the best was not on Erna. I wasn't there though.
No.
Sybil's gonna pop his head back in as everyone's leaving and just go compliments as he's leaving.
Thank you.
Yeah, still got no money though.
You step out of the bar and straight out to the small jetty, and you can already see the Icarus has been brought around and just rested in front of the bar, hanging very loosely in place. Erna is stood 1 foot on the ship and 1 foot on the side, just kind of a loose piece of rope wrapped around her arm, tied to a small mooring, keeping it more or less stable. The rear of the ship is pulling out a little bit as it pulls towards the mechanism of the drop. And stood right at the prow of the ship is a shape in the form of a woman. Only described as such as she's quite hunched over, leaning towards the edge of the ship. The only thing that really gives you any definition is her very old, feminine features. Wispy grey hair hangs across her face, hiding most of her, and the same heavy robes just line her features, cause her to appear more like a moving conglomerate of cloth than anything human. Small bone charms have been woven into the cloth, and you can see it just dotted all over the edgings. You, Kylan, have never seen this person before, ever. And you've been through these docks a good number of times at this point. Erna just quietly calls everyone over to her.
I will take up the rear, but we'll come.
She glances over at you first. Did everyone eat?
Yes.
Good. You're going to need it. Everyone, we're having to take a bit of a change to the plan. A letter I received before we left, we didn't have time to read due to the method of our departure, has warned me that there may be more checkpoints further up the canals than we originally anticipated. Other ships may not worry as much as we are, but we have slightly different cargo than they do, she says, glancing across directly at Sam. And then, to a lesser degree, Juliana. Word is, the Inquisition is watching the waterways a lot more rigorously than they previously had. And I have a feeling that's something we'd like to avoid. So, I assume everyone here is familiar with channelers and has worked with or around them for a fair bit of time. There's a few murmurs of agreement from Juliana first. Moorhen stands in complete silence, just quietly nods. You can see his eyes almost light up as he's kind of flicking around, trying to get a read of what's going on. Sam is just chewing on the crusts at this point, trying to make sure that they last for as long as possible. There's a good degree of crust to sugar ratio built up here. The woman on the deck, well, her name is Yasha Korolev. She's from West. She's not quite what you would normally expect from, well, I don't know if any of you have ever met a Wissian, but they're a different breed to us. I can speak openly about her because Yasha is deaf. She's also blind. She's also mute. Do not touch her. Yes.
How did you speak? How did you let her know? If she's blind, deaf, and mute,
We have
how
our
does she
ways.
communicate? You,
Selectively. Very selectively.
are you like Braille? Are you like, no? You like, oh, shut
What's a
up.
Braille?
No, that's fair. That's fine. No.
Erna just kind of lets the moment hang for a moment and continues. We are... I don't really know how to put this because I've only had to do it once myself, and it wasn't exactly a pleasant experience, and I am apologetic in advance. We are taking a slightly unusual route, and this route has definitive rules. Rules that cannot be broken. I mean this in the most stringent manner possible. When you are on board the ship, tie yourself down. And then close your eyes. And under no circumstances are you to open them until I tell you otherwise. And I want you to pay attention to the timbre, the tone, and every syllable that comes out of my mouth right now. Do not open your eyes to anything other than me telling you to. Am I understood?
Yes!
Yes.
Definitely.
Good. Juliana nods, and Moorhen, you can see him kind of reaching, you can see a hand almost instinctively going towards one of the books and just holding back for, of course. There's a tug on the hem of your dress, Jules, as Sam looks up at you, and now just chewing on his thumb, and if you can see flecks of sugar on it. Do I have to do that too?
Yeah. You want to cuddle up with me? You can get a nap. Be fine.
He kind of vehemently nods and just pushes in next to you.
You seem agitated there, kid.
He just points across to the woman at the front of the ship.
Oh yeah? What do you think of her?
He's scary. He's not...
Yeah. She probably smells funny too.
She's not here, Jules. She's not here.
What? She's not here? Is that not her? Well, keep
he
a wide
just
berth.
gestures down for you to come closer.
I didn't hear that. You whispered too quietly.
Sorry. She's like him. She doesn't belong here.
Right. Okay, got it. Doesn't belong. Just stay near me. And any chance, just get behind me, and I got you. We've got through a lot, you and me. And we're gonna get through the rest. Who knows, this might be a great adventure. Would you like some courage juice?
He
No.
looks at you, gets an impression of what you mean, and shakes his head.
You didn't like it, did you?
It burned.
You've got enough courage in you, that's why. And then I'm gonna slap Sam on the chest, be like, you've got enough courage in you, you'll be fine. That's why you didn't like the courage juice. You've got too much already in you.
Is that how it works?
That's why I'm drinking a lot of mine. I need a lot of courage.
That explains Papa Jack.
Yeah, he drank a lot, didn't he? I thought I was bad. Damn.
And he just kind of nods, at which point Erna cuts over the crowd. If we're ready.
Yeah. And Kylan, after saying yeah, directly in contrast, is going to actually turn to Subil and be like, quietly, a minute. I know you don't like to be, as in like right now, as in I'm about to start speaking. I know you don't like to be touched. I'm worried. Would you be willing to tie our wrists together?
I don't really know how I react to being tied up, to be quite honest. But
Unfortunately, we're going to find out one way or another.
yeah, and I feel like it's probably for the best either way. So I'm just going to have to deal with it.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you.
We'll get you tied up, and I'll tie you to me.
Mhm.
And I'll get Erna to do the last one.
Cool. Thank you.
Alright. Yeah. We're ready.
Erna nods, and with that, one by one, you file onto the ship. As you step, Erna hands each of you a small lash of rope and gestures towards small kind of docks that run along the edge of either portion of the ship. The normal type of thing that you would attach a rope to for a sail or something akin to that. She just points at each one of them. Lash yourself down. When I call, close your eyes. Feel free to do so earlier, but again, do not open them. No matter what you hear, unless it is my voice.
Can I make blindfolds while he's doing this, rather instead of keeping my eyes shut?
Well,
Like
what I am
head
going to
blind.
say is, as of the moment you choose, I would like you, not your character, specifically you, to close your eyes and keep them closed, because that is how I am going to track them. So yeah, feel free to go and get a blindfold.
I'd close them too early. Oh no!
Only when I say. It is up
Can
to
I open
you.
them up so I can go get a blindfold?
It is 100% up to you on that one, as you are lashed to the ship.
Drunk anyway, so she wouldn't have done it. Oh, before I do this, I will go get another bottle of drink before we tie each other up.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, usually...
I'm just getting to the important things here.
In which case,
Don't wanna
you
do
start
this.
heading down. As you reach the top of the stairs, you naturally have to kind of open your eyes, so feel free to open your eyes right now for me, Max.
He's not risking anything, man.
I'm not risking.
Right.
You didn't say
Jules has
Simon
had to
said,
keep
so he's
her
not
eyes
doing it.
closed, and so she's kept her eyes closed. So
Well.
she's doing all of this probably with her eyes closed. There's something about.
Right. As you are all tied, and as Jules disappears below deck and returns with a bottle of whatever was closest to you as you got down there.
Bottle of vermouth.
Why not? That sounds awful. You step up onto the deck as Erna makes her way through to each and every one of you and starts tying you in place. You are given, it is a guide rope. This isn't lashing you to the deck. It is enough to give you a small amount of movement, but to hold you onto the ship. You watch as she moves past and creates knots, and then checks with strength of them. Literally tying it, placing one hand on each of you as she goes, and physically tries to force you away from it. She puts an immense amount of strength behind the push, enough that it actually causes the rope to tighten around your gut and pull you in slightly. It's not a pleasant experience. At which point, she makes her way up the stairs and does the same thing, lashing herself to the wheel.
And Kylan will have tied themselves and Subil together by the wrist.
Easily.
Trying to make it
Sam
as
is tied in with me.
probably like wrapped around Kai and wrapped around Subil before wrapped together so that Sybil's not having to deal with too much direct touch.
No worries, easily done. With that done, the ship starts to pull away from the jetty and move down the waterway towards the mechanism drop. As you start moving, you see Erna wave off towards a single figure that you can make out on the dock, the small plump form of Armin rushing along to start pulling the appropriate levers and make the waterlock open. As this heavy steel of the mechanism starts to pull away, you realize one fairly quick, immediate, and slightly damning fact as you look past the wall at the front of the ship, that the waterlock is empty. And all that lies on the other side of it is a long, hard drop into the river below. Even quick observations identify about 90 feet of fall. And you continue to push towards it. The ship begins to rapidly pick up speed. The water begins to rush against the sides, and you can hear Erna repeating her phrase. You will know when. When I shout, close your eyes. Do not open them. The ship continues to push forward. The water beats along the edges, and you watch the figure of the woman at the front start to pass her hand out. As she moves, she plucks small pieces of bone from her own robes and just places in the air in front of her. Even through anything else, you can hear this deep guttural noise emanating out from her, much further than you should be able to hear it, far further than the water crashing against the ship and the rapid approach of the sound of the waterfall should allow. Every stone and every piece of bone she places in the air, as she pulls her hand away from it, it stays there, hanging in space with small crystals of ice beginning to form around them. The air itself crackling and dropping in temperature to the point where you can see mist forming between each of these pieces of bone. And she continues to allow these deep guttural noises to emanate out. And it is only as you continue to plummet forwards, push towards the edge, you can see the edge of the waterfall, you can feel the spray, and as you hit it and go over, the air snaps, the bones separate and fling out in every direction, The woman ascends, her body plucked up by gravity as the ship plummets off of the edge of the waterfall, revealing nothing but the steep drop into oblivion below. You are dragged off of the ship as the ropes strike taut. Each one of you dragged into the air and feel the ship plummet towards instant and uncertain death. The stones and the bones continue to hang in place in front of you. You watch them shiver and shake and hold their own space in the universe as that frost and the ice continues to push apart and cracks in the air open. And as those cracks begin to open, you hear a deep, overwhelming silence leak out of them. You see the images of something as you hear a voice shout out once more, "Close your eyes!" The rush of the water vacates. And for a moment, there is nothing. Only silence. Only peace. The rushing of air pushing past you as you are dragged into the sky. You feel the ship drop and drop and drop, and know that gravity should bring you dashed against the stones and the rocks that shut out from the water below any second now. But it never comes. You are slowly, gently lowered. One moment the ropes hold taut, the next you are just sat against the deck of the ship. There is peace. Sound. Slowly moving waters. The scent of salt on the air. The ship moves. Gently. Carefully. And there is nothing. For a time. Silence. You hear the music. Your violin case is clasped in your hands. You're gripping it tightly as if it were your own child. And you can hear it singing to you. Music rolls out from inside it. From the strings you know are broken. And muffled in there with it, you can hear a voice. A low, happy song. You can hear your mother's lullabies. Trapped. Locked away from within the box. The latches, you can feel them, but can't quite see them. With being dragged up and deposited back down onto the ship, you're not sure in what state those latches sit anymore. You don't know which direction you need to turn them. You don't know if you can open them. You can feel them. You know if you were just to look, you could unclasp it. You could let the song free.
It's gonna try to not ignore it, but kind of just fight the urge, the very strong urge of opening the eyes. So she's just gonna kind of keep them closed for the moment and just kind of fight the urge.
You just grip the violin case tighter. And you can feel just on the other side a slow knock, an impact of something against the wood on the other side. Violence.
Definitely. Oh.
Violence. Let us out. Free us. Come home. Come back to us. Don't let them take us. Violet. Violet. Don't let it be too late. Don't let your mistakes be our punishment.
I think at that, I don't know. Shit. She's just gonna she's gonna stand there for like a few moments and just try to like mull it over in her brain. And I think she's just kind of terrified because she's hearing her parents' voices and just kind of the grip just goes in the case and she just lets it go. I think she's not kind of scared and worried that she just kind of loses the grip, like she kind of just forgets to keep gripping. So
you loosen your hand and there is a sudden drop as the case is pulled away from you. It impacts sharply into the ground, sends a ringing sensation of noise around the area, enough that it's the first sound many of you hear. To Jules, it sounds like a gunshot. A single damning salvo of a small revolver. The last burst of light of that piece of gunpowder. Firing of a single round off into space, never to be seen again. There's a sensation, Jules. A feeling like a hand in yours. One normally covered by a leather gauntlet. You can feel the sensation of the burns interlaced upon her fingers. You can feel the tightness of her grip wrapped around yours. You can smell the gunmetal polish, the scent of the black powder, and the weak perfume she used to try and use to mask the worst of it. She's right there, right next to you. You can feel her. Jules, come back to me. Don't leave me alone in the dark. Come back to me.
And grab hold of Sam like a teddy bear and just sob.
You pull
Silently.
Sam. You pull Sam up into your arms, and as you grip him, you can feel her fingers part from yours. Feel them slip away. I tried, Jules. I tried to stop it, but he took me from you. He took you. Come back to me. And as her voice fades away from you, there is a whisper in Kylan's ear. One part base, one part magnesium, one part phosphate.
Kylan probably mumbles out loud. Okay. Okay. One part magnesium. Phosphor?
Never expose the ingredients to sunlight. Keep them separate until they're used as one. A deft, expert hand runs along the backside of your own and helps guide your fingers. You can see the flickering of images on the other side of your eyelids. You feel the metal of alchemical tools being placed into your fingers. You can smell the ingredients and the various items of your craft. You can feel the warmth of the body behind you, helping guide you towards each individual tool, instructing you, teaching you. You have greatness in you.
Greatness. Yeah, sure.
All it's going to take is a little bit of work. And patience, mostly patience for you. And remember, never let anyone tell you what your work is. You'll discover what your work is. Her voice is a distant, faded shadow of a memory. You don't even recognize a name to give to. But it is soft. It is calming. It's a trusted voice.
Kylan kind of sighs and... You're an illusion, aren't you?
They're all illusions, depending on how you view it. An illusion of a past or a future, something. You can almost feel the smile. The parsing of the lips. The same ruby red lips that just dance somewhere in the back of your mind.
And just barely audible. Maybe Subil hears it. Maybe. Under their breath, Kylan says, "But you were real once."
A lot of things were real once. And as you feel the tools in your hands, you feel them shift and change. You move from tweezers, measuring apparatus, to the grip of a syringe in your hands. You can feel the warmth of something on your left hand as you place something in hand. You push something down. You can hear a distant muttering, a song on someone's lips. Can't quite hear the words, but there's the memory that it sparks, something like garden. You can smell soil and earth. And as you press the syringe down, as you feel it point into something, into someone, the memory becomes more profound as you hear the scream that you draw from them. The discomfort, the hate, the vitriol in the voice that you drag out of this thing less than a human at the other end of your syringe. You know you hate them because you have to. And once again, you can feel the same instructor, same feeling behind you. It's okay. It's all going to be okay. This is for the future. Just look upon all you've made. Open your eyes. Let it all come back.
I can't.
You
I
can.
want to. I can't.
It's just the other side of your island.
No. And I will say that I think Kylan is saying most of this out loud, not shouting it, so it would just be people around them. No, Ernest said not to. I trust her.
Never trust a liar.
How would I know?
Trust yourself, not what others tell you.
That's gonna go badly for you, because right now I don't think I can. I'm sorry.
In time. And as the words fall upon your ears, on the other side, you can feel a coldness to your right. The skin next to yours bristles. As Subil, there is nothing. Can you feel it, Subil? Can you feel that there is nothing? Isn't it peaceful? Isn't it better? This is what they're gonna have, Subil. All of them. Every last one. We could give it to them. There is a kingdom waiting for you. Bone wrought from bone, crown wrought from veins. And as you snap it and tear it from them, with my help, they will look at you with thankful eyes. Subil, look at me. And as the words hang on the air, you feel something. You feel something in front of you. You feel hands running along your skin. And you feel something moving up to your face. The warmth of something's breath against yours. Look at me. Or I make them. Pick one. You or them. And if you do not, I choose. A name, Subil. Whisper a name.
I'm going to play your game.
This is it. So simple. Pick one.
Was just going to chuckle a little bit and just go, no. No.
I lived to count as a failure. I With that, you feel the movement of something slowly scuttle away. One. Violet, you feel a finger placed between your eyes. Cold and jagged. 2. The finger falls upon the nape of your neck, Jules. Runs across the depth of your spine up to the base of your skull. 3. Kylan, your hand just brushes across your face, gripping ever so slightly as you feel long, broken nails scrape along your features. 1. 2. As each and every one of you hear the voice. 1, 2, 3.
No. If you want to kill something, kill me, but don't kill them. Just do it.
Two, 3. Whoa. There's a tightening in your arms, Jules, as you start to feel hands wrap around the cargo you quit. And something leans in closer. You can feel movement around you. You can feel touch of lips and hair. Two or 4. Lips move next to your ear. You can feel the moistness of its breath. 2 or 4. There's salt on the air. The boat rocks. And somewhere in the distance you can hear the monolithic grinding of stone upon stone. Somewhere you think you hear a seabird sing. There is silence. All movement fades. The ship slowly floats away from you, as each of you hang alone in a void. You can feel the wind rush around you. You can smell the salt in the air. You can hear the grinding of stone upon stone. Somewhere impossibly distant, but also uncomfortably close. Limbs flail against limbs, and a twisted mouth smiles, and you can taste its breath. This is your a lesson must be learned. No more. Last word fades, becomes further and further and further, and is lost, grinding of stone. The ship rocks. The salt air starts to fade. Open your eyes. Open them. Lottie's voice. Jules, open your eyes. Come back to me. Violet, your mother. Just open the case, Jules. Sorry. Violet, open the case. Let us out. Help us find us. It's not too late. Kylan, it's okay. I will find you. Open your eyes. 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 Now. Open your eyes. Kylan, you are back aboard the ship. You sit under the sun. Around you, you can see everyone else. Their clothes are damp and wet. There is a frost hanging in the air. The ship is covered in ice. At the front of the vessel, you can still see the figure of the woman from earlier. Her body shaking and dropped to the floor on her knees as her hands grip onto either side of the railings of the ship. And around you in every direction, you can see the countryside of Chalice, with a singular difference. Behind you, like a wound in the world, there is a shadow point. Where normally there should be sky or air, there is broken glass, or as the loosest thing you can describe it like, where small bones hang around in singular points, and behind it you can just see blue. Like an endless rolling ocean sat on the other side, as that tear slowly heals itself. Blink and it's gone. You see the others around you, many of them still gripping their eyes tight closed. And it's only when
Erna first to make sure that I didn't mess up.
Erna is just stood, still tied to the deck, sat, her eyes red. You can see tears that have been basically frostbitten to the sides of her cheeks at this point, frozen in place in many instances. She just nods at you.
Kylan doesn't look much better, but taking in the surroundings, they'll gently shake the hand that's attached to Subil. Subil.
Wait, go ahead.
That was Erna.
It was. Because I've had creepy voices. I don't know about you guys, but like I'm very skeptical right now.
You don't have to trust me, but I can tell you we're safe.
All right,
Jules
just
has still got her eyes closed, sobbing.
Sybil, as you look at Kylan, there are 3 cuts across their face, as if someone has literally dragged jagged fingernails across them. They're not frozen, but you can see ice across them, enough that blood isn't running, and it takes a moment for the kind of numbness of the skin to dampen to a level where even Kylan can feel them.
I think a stray tear probably escapes Kylan's eyes into the cut, and that's when they notice. And they go, ow. What?
okay.
Yeah. Just kind of shows. I think something cut my face.
Let's just be glad that it didn't do more than that. Couldn't.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. And kind of like, actually they can't because they're still tied. They're kind of gonna, I think they're tied on one, so they're gonna take their free hand and just kind of look over and check on Violet first.
How do they find you, Violet?
I think the second Violet opened her eyes, definitely still red, tears obviously streaming. She's reaching for the case. Hope if she can grab it, she's gonna like undo it and then see if the violin's in more damage. But even if it is, just like hug it close to her, and she's kind of just like mumbling to herself, just very obviously shaken the fuck up. And she just keeps saying, like, I'm sorry, I don't know. Like, I'm that kind of thing, you know?
The other thing all of you notice is that right between her eyes is a large pinpoint cut and a bruise, as if someone has just driven their finger as deep between their eyes as possible.
Okay. Isn't gonna bring that up for a second. Kind of looks at Subil and then, and not like in a way, but in a do you see that kind of way.
Not
Violet.
that subtle. Yeah, I see it.
And then it's gonna look around. At this point, it's more of whoever catches their eye first is going to in turn check on.
You pass your eyes across the deck. First, you come to Juliana, who is stood bolt upright, her fingers wrapped around the side of the ship, staring directly at Sybil. There is fear in her eyes. Past her, you see Moorhead, who sits cross-legged, his hands very carefully placed between them, in the gap between his legs. His eyes perfectly closed, very slowly breathing in and out. Sam is still wrapped in Jules' arms. He's unconscious. Not asleep. Unconscious.
Jules.
She's crying at the moment. And is in a constant crying fit.
Oh, fuck. And it's just gonna kind of, I don't know, can we be untied now, please?
Erna, as you turn to her, has her hand just beating. Ash.
Okay.
And as she does that,
Go ahead.
sorry, go.
It's just gonna try to. So gave the hunting knife to Violet, but is gonna try to just pull themselves free of the. Like, Subil, help me out.
Subil presumably has excellent dexterity.
Your ropes
like
are
that.
untied.
Oh.
Help me out, and it just drops.
Specifically Sybil's.
Oh.
Okay, I didn't do that. I don't remember doing that.
Figure it out later. Get me untied.
Yeah. Sybil's gonna help out.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, come on. We gotta check on Violet. And it's just gonna go to Sam and Jules and just kind of, as gently as possible given the situation, be like, and quietly, not like announcing this to the entire Jules, I'm sorry, but Sam's not asleep. He's unconscious. I need your help.
And she will break through of it, like in a trance.
Jules.
And notice Sam's... I'm gonna be honest, I would have held Sam pretty tight.
He's limp.
There may be some nail marks in Sam's arms, just as I've been holding.
I don't think
you
that's
noticed that.
Yeah. It's like, it's not bad.
As you hold him out, he's limp in your arms. The dead weights. And as you do, his neck slumps, his head slumps back slightly as you shift his position. And you can see wrapped around his throat, there are bruise marks. As if hands had very tightly gripped him and tried to choke the life out of him. They are red and angry, and there are dozens of them. You can see more as you hold him up along his arms, even beyond where your fingernails have very clearly dug into him. There are hand imprints covering him. And as you hold him up, you realize how weak his breath is.
I'll rush him to anywhere where I can start performing any sort of first aid and I don't know, resting, making sure that Sam's resting. Like the motherly instincts instantly take over.
Can
You
I
pick him up.
assist with the doctor check?
You can. You pick him up and immediately bring him over to the side as everyone else begins to very much snap out of whatever stupor they may have been in. Juliana clicks in. Is he okay? At which point, even more hen shakes his head slightly, breaks himself, whatever trance he placed himself in, turns to pay attention. As you lift Sam up and place him onto a kind of raised portion of the ship, you feel his heartbeat slowing.
I'll do CPR, etc.
I need a doctor's check of 14, or a doctor check of 14. This is assisted. Whoever wants to lead it, of course.
Do you have any ranks in doctor that we can add?
Yeah, I've got 1 plus 1.
Okay. Do you want me to do it and I'll add your +1, or vice versa? It's
I mean, if I can use a card, I can do it straight away.
Yeah, you could cheat it if it doesn't flip.
I could cheat it, but I'll double check it. But I would 100% my character would cheat it. Does that be 11? But if it wouldn't work, then I'd. What was the DC?
14.
Well, I've got a king here, so that would leave it to exactly 14.
If I'm assisting you, you should get an additional +1 because you add my.
Is that how yeah?
Yep.
And 15.
It's not advantage, it's add the ranks.
Yeah.
Kill.
You immediately start helping. The two of you start just trying to do anything you can. You attempt CPR and the heart rate continues to slow. as you continue, more people start surrounding. Juliana comes around to try and work out anything she can do. The heart rate slows more, his breath becomes shallow and steady, or unsteady. A few minutes pass, you perform as many different tricks and ideas as you can. Moorhen arrives and just hands you a small vial of smelling salts, just hoping that might be able to do something. You snap open it beneath the nose and nothing changes. You try a few more times, and eventually you drag breath out of Sam. His heart rate begins to steady. His breath relaxes. And a few moments pass as his eyes slowly open. Away from the ship, you feel a shadow begin to mass on the horizon. And as one of you looks up and sees the city of Dis breaking over the horizon, less than a few hours away, Sam whispers, "I kept him away. I kept him away."
Told you you're full of courage.
It hurts. And at that, we'll draw tonight's session to a close. As you all huddle around Sam. Well, first and foremost, well done. You all kept your eyes closed for about half an hour. Congratulations.
My partner and our friend came home during this time. I could physically feel them open the door and stare at me, and then just back right back out.
What's worse, I heard that, like, I heard a door open, and I was like, shit, has my door just opened?
Yeah, I was like,
so expecting.
Oh, God.
I was so expecting my brother, I don't know if he's watching, but I was really expecting him to like come in and open the door halfway through and just scare the living fuck out of me.
My head was crushed in this thing. It's my headphone bag, so it fits perfectly my head, and that's
I
it.
think
And
I
then you
found a new
chose to keep
fear,
it
honestly, fuck me. I literally stopped breathing for like 2 minutes, I reckon.
Felt around for my mute button at multiple times. I also felt around for my alcohol at a few times.
I was trying to pause my music. I was trying to pause my music, so I was pressing random keys on my keyboard, like, what am I doing?
I was trying to make notes the entire time with my eyes closed.
It'll be like
I'll be
automatic
interested to see that.
writing.
Being
Yeah.
incredibly sporadic. and
That's
back
actually
to that,
impressive.
That's really good.
Oh
I'm
my
kind
god.
of surprised.
Well,
we'll
we've
leave-
looked like automatic
bit's not too
writing,
good,
so
though.
good job.
We'll leave the entire recount to you next time, then, Billy.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I have to go work at a festival now with this knowledge in my brain of all this is happening. Why do you do this to me?
For
Why?
3 weeks.
Yeah,
3 weeks.
I have to go
Oh,
spend a
God.
week in a field by myself. If I die, I'm blaming you specifically.
That's fair. Right. Well, at that, we say goodbye and good night for the evening, and continue on in a few weeks to see, well, you're there, you've arrived. Well done. This is within arm's reach. So as we dart around the room and say
Fuck
goodbye
this.
to everyone,
Boom.
we'll see you all next time. So first and foremost, as you have the closing line there, Max, who are you? Where can we find you?
I am Max. You can find me on Instagram at YallupMax. I do a little bit of theatre. I do a little bit of film, and kind of everything in between. So you'll see me probably about. So yeah, if you like what I do here, I'll probably do something similar on stage. So please give me a follow and see what I'm up to.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. CJ.
Hi everyone, I'm CJ. You can find me on most socials at CJ Story. I'm a performer, I'm a writer. My pronouns are they, them. I've been playing Kylan, who's they, them, and is traumatized. Thank you, Ben. That's about all.
That's what I do. Next on the traumatized list, let's go with Holly.
Hi, my name is Holly. I played Violet. You can find me on Instagram. Wait, what's my handle? What that is? It's Holly Ida Healy. I post random stuff to my stories. I don't post to the main, but one day I'll post something music related, seeing as I work in that field. I was hoping to actually get like 8 hours sleep tonight, Ben. That's not happening now.
It's overrated.
So cheers for that. You're so kind.
You're welcome.
Yeah. You owe me a violin.
I think you'll find I didn't give you the knife.
Yeah, but it's funny if I say you owe me it.
Yeah, that's fair. And Billy.
Hello, I am Billy. I am not nearly as proactive as these three wonderful co-players in terms of socials, so you can really only find me here next 3 weeks from now. But if you've ever made it to the end of one of these before, you know the tradition. If you check in next time, I might have some world building stuff going on. Who knows? I definitely don't.
I really look forward to seeing it. I mean, you built it up so much at this point, Billy.
3 years,
It's
man.
gotta be like-
Be spectacular.
Top tier.
Yeah.
It's. Why do you think it's still not out yet?
Toxic perfectionism?
Mwah!
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And of course, I'm me. I'm Ben. You can find me more or less anywhere at Try Again Ben. I won't be posting anything, but I'll be there. When I'm not here, I am a project manager over at Modifius, and in my spare time, the little of which I have, I write adventures and RPG stuff, and yay, all that fun bits. So, it's going to be a week before you see me again, unfortunately, I'm sorry, with a different group for, let's see how the others are chasing up to you guys. But in a few weeks after that, we'll all be back with the lovely crew here, and we'll see how we go. So, as always, thank you very much for sticking with us. We'll see you next time. Good night.
bye!